Today's episode is sponsored by the NBA and their That's Game campaign. That's Game encapsulates the league's goals of advancing the game of basketball, growing the community, and impacting culture. The campaign celebrates the NBA, its players, and fans across the past, present, and future as the NBA soon approaches its 75th anniversary season. That's Game highlights pivotal moments on court and beyond, from iconic plays in arena to the impact players have in the community. NBA 75th will be a continuation of the That's Game campaign. The campaign will honor the past, present, and future of the NBA across the court, community, and culture. Like in the NBA Finals when the Bucks had their backs against the wall, Drew Holiday steals the ball, pushes the break, alley-oop to Giannis for the iconic slam, seals Game 5 in the eventual title. That's the NBA. That's Game. This is more than just basketball. This is more than just basketball. It's what connects us all and keeps us coming back for more. That's the NBA. That's Game.
Welcome to Nerder She Wrote. I'm your host, Mo DeKeel. Dave Dufour could not join us, but we got a great group today. As always, we have Seth Partnow. He's got his tiers out. Everybody better go check out, start reading those and catch up on it and yell at him on the internet. And we have the wonderful, amazing Nate Duncan. I mean, we couldn't ask for anybody better. Host of the Dunk On podcast. And what do you call the Hollinger one? I messed that one up.
Hollinger and Duncan. Very, very creative. But what is this Nerder She Wrote? I was told that this is the best of Summer League Fashion Awards.
Are you making a? I mean, like, listen, dude.
It's a self-deprecating joke.
You look great,
but you unfortunately came along for the ride too.
Yeah, like, not fully prepared. This is what happens when you go to Summer League. You're just like, I'm going to throw on some clothes. It's hot outside. I don't know how you're wearing a sweatshirt.
Well, I mean, Partnow is the best dressed among all of us. So what does that say?
That has never been said ever.
This is the most professional Seth has looked, I think, since we've done a podcast.
But I mean, the good news is that we are a good 2 years. You're ahead of the trend now because in 2 years, cargo shorts will be back in.
Well, no, they're dad shorts, so I'm allowed.
Wait. Is this a fashion prediction?
Yeah.
I want to write this one down. 2 years from now, mark it.
Everything's it's like 20 years, isn't it? Right? Like, whenever the people who had their fashion when they're 15 become 35 and get nostalgic, then that comes back in again, right?
I don't know. I had terrible fashion then. I'm going to have terrible fashion now. I'm wearing basketball shorts till the day I die. As most people don't come to us for fashion, as you can obviously tell, let's start talking about the NBA offseason. We're going to get into Summer League and all that fun stuff, but I want to ask you guys off the bat, what team has impressed you? Not so much just a player signing somewhere, but what team you feel like has made the biggest leap or has impressed you? Were like, those were some good moves.
So I the two teams that I thought helped themselves the most in terms of really moving forward were Brooklyn, almost as much their competitors not doing so, and some smart under the radar signings. Patty Mills I thought was a really good pickup for them, and I like what Denver did. Again, nothing huge, just under the radar. Keeping JaMychal Green, adding Jeff Green, who I think has been a very solid pro the last couple of years and a very useful playoff performer, which, depending on when Jamal Murray comes back next year and what he looks like, that might be a pretty big deal to have a player like that, because that's a player type they've kind of missed in the postseason the last couple of years.
There is maybe an argument that the teams that kind of sat it out actually maybe did better in what was an overheated market, and everyone is like, win now, win now, win now. It's the as myopic as it gets these days, as far as winning now this year. There's the play-in. There's Atlanta and Phoenix both improving over 1 year, which now I think is making every downtrodden owner think that, hey, why can't we be them? And so
the ghost of Chris Paul.
Yeah, maybe just sitting Boston's offseason, I think, is actually a somewhat interesting one now that they've added Schroeder, who is not a great player, but for the tax mid-level, and just a scorer off the bench is kind of what they needed. So I don't think there were any great off seasons. The Knicks and Washington I thought were pretty good too, but there wasn't anyone I really thought transformed themselves to move up just like a crazy tier in terms of contention.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I've been saying about this offseason in general. I think we're all in line, and like nobody made a fantastic signing. Like I'm not walking away going like this team has jumped from being rubbish to they're a contender now. Like everybody's just kind of stayed relatively the same. The Lakers made their big moves. I don't really like the Russ move, but every move I think afterwards kind of made sense considering what they were dealing with financially and things like that. Going to be interesting if those guys can keep up and continue to shoot and defend. What is Bazemore going to really continue to shoot from 40% from three? I don't know. Like I don't know if that's something that's real that you can count on. What's Wayne Ellington going to do? And Trevor Ariza, can he still be on the court? All of those things are going to be important factors there. But let me ask you this question, because Seth, you kind of brought it up. Nobody got better, and like the net for that means the Nets feels like they've won.
I think Miami got better. I don't think they got enough better, especially for how much they've locked themselves into what is a pretty good core, but without a lot of a very good core with Lowry, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo. But without really the mechanisms to build much around that, at least for this year. Right. Maybe next year they can start to, but at that point, then like how old is Kyle Lowry going to be? Right. Jimmy Butler is someone who's got a lot of hard miles on him, so you wonder how long that core is going to stay at a really high level. Given the ages of the players.
That's when they're going to start wearing cargo shorts. That's when Miami's going to be a little bit concerned. They got
well recalled.
Well, I don't think cargo shorts were ever in style in Miami.
Fair. But so, Nate, what do you think of what Miami did with the moves they made?
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think there are a lot of teams where have kind of these NBA existential questions, right? Like I think they've probably, to me, moved into kind of a 2A tier now in the East behind Milwaukee and Brooklyn, where but maybe they're higher than your Bostons and your Atlantas. If everything is clicking, obviously there's a lot of age-related risks, which we talked about. But the reason I say it's kind of an existential question is, all right, let's say they're the 3 seed, they lose a hard-fought second-round series, and then they kind of peter out from there over the next few years. But you do have a 31-year-old Jimmy Butler right now that they feel like is a star player that they want to build around, and they have another all-star in Adebayo, so they feel like they need to go for it now. Kyle Lowry is the best guy to change teams, and they took PJ Tucker away from the Bucks. But is whatever that is right now, is whether it's tough second round exit against the Nets, I mean maybe they're could be a dark horse championship contender if Bam and Jimmy play like they played in the 2000 playoffs. So that's your question as an owner, as a GM with some job security. Is that worth it? What's your guys' answer to that question?
So I think I don't think that's what they think they did. I think they think they put themselves on that kind of that top seed line. And I don't agree with that. And I think the Lowry move was good. I think re-signing Duncan Robinson was good. The one that kind of I didn't like as much was PJ Tucker, because I think too much of the thought process for that was taking him away from Milwaukee, and not enough thought was into how it locks them into what is, I think, a thin, slow, small team. And I don't think that those are three things that at least in the last couple postseasons we've seen, I don't think those are three things that necessarily bode well for their ability to, step up and spring that upset. I would have liked to see, and you get into the problem here of, okay, well, who do you mean? And that's a very good question. But I would have liked to see, some athleticism, maybe a little more depth, get 3, maybe lesser, but playable guys in that spot instead of kind of shooting the whole mid-level bullet on Tucker.
Yeah, and the thing is for me with that, especially the Tucker signing, they're still searching for that Crowder replacement, right? Like they tried it with Ariza last year, didn't quite pan out the way they hoped, and now it's PJ Tucker, and now they're hoping that's gonna be the guy, and it just doesn't fit that mold for me. He's a threat from the corner threes, but is he really a threat? Like how much are teams gonna defend it? I think we started to see the Suns in the finals begin to leave him and things like that. Like that was the difference for Miami when they went to the finals, was just how well Crowder shot it, and whether that's real or not because the bubble, it's we can debate that forever, but they're still looking for that guy, and but I don't know if that guy was out there this offseason. Maybe it was James Johnson. I don't know. But like, that's the problem they kind of had to deal with filling out the roster.
Well, I really like what they did defensively. They have a ton of defensive versatility now with Lowry, Tucker. I mean, other than Duncan Robinson, you can get away with one weak link, like if you're switching to cover up, probably not two. So, I mean, I think their profile is one of the best playoff defenses in the league, maybe the best. I haven't really gone through and done the tiers what I think teams are defensively, but they might be the best playoff defense. The Bucks will still be up there, obviously, too. But so that can get you some currency, and I think they believe that enough of Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry grifting for fouls, and Duncan Robinson can get hot. Like, I don't think they're going to be a great offensive team, but I do. The alternative path was not really an obvious one. And I do think that taking Tucker away from Milwaukee does hurt Milwaukee a lot, just because they now no longer have the personnel to switch defensively, which they did, I thought, to pretty good effect in these playoffs.
Yeah. Well, let's switch off a little bit from Milwaukee, Miami, because there's two teams we haven't talked about, and their offseason might push them into the regular season a little bit. And we haven't touched on Philadelphia or Toronto. I'm throwing a curveball at you guys. I cheated here a little bit. Seth knows I do this all the time. The situation, obviously, we know with the Sixers. What are they going to do with Ben Simmons? We're all expecting a trade. When it's going to happen. And then you have Toronto with questions of Siakam. And how is that going to unfold in itself? What have you guys seen so far from their off seasons, and looking ahead, what are you guys thinking? Like, what do they need to do? I mean, because it doesn't feel like the Sixers have done much, and everything's on hold until they know what they're going to do with Ben Simmons.
I think I think that's the big domino left to fall in the NBA. I think, and I don't have a great sense of where they're going with that. I think that the pendulum on where Ben Simmons is as a player has swung way too far to the negative.
Shocking in this day and age that we overreact.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's swung to where I always was personally. On him specifically.
Right. Actually, and talking about the other player who we mentioned in this conversation, similar player is Pascal Siakam, who I think has also been sort of downrated more because we focus so much on what he can't do in the last couple of years. He can't be the best offensive player on a high level playoff team, that we've sort of lost sight of all the things he can do. Now, like, Ben Simmons is a much more extreme player with both his limitations and his strengths, but I can't really blame Daryl Morey for holding out for a lot for Ben Simmons, because you give him up for some of the deal, like you trade him straight up for CJ McCollum. Like,
you're going no.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, you just made Portland a lot better, and where are you going? And if that's your one shot to take, where are you now? So this is their, like, what they can get for Embiid is their shot to really reset and start, the ascent that they seem to be on a couple years ago. Yeah, for Simmons.
Yeah, everybody in Philly freaked out. You just said Embiid, and they all jumped for a second. It was like, what the hell?
No, I was building around Embiid.
Yeah, well, this pregnant situation now with Lillard and with Beal, you wonder when the trade scenario is going to gestate with them, right? And Beal will probably find out whether he takes the extension or not in October. Although who knows, Washington could even just go into the season with him and then maybe reassess around the trade deadline. And Lillard, it seems like they're sort of in a similar boat with him as well. And Daryl Morey, he's not going to go all in on average. Like, I think trading Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum would make his team better. I think there's also a risk, and we may disagree on that, given your quizzical facial expression there.
That's just I get that resting confused face. So.
I get that all the time on the pod.
Yeah, this in-person podcasting, man, it's so weird.
It's just weird. I don't know what to do.
I used to get away with all my bullshit, and now it's like you would have never known that he had that facial expression. But I think you would make your team better by just getting a more reliable playoff performer. But is that a championship contender if you do that? Maybe not. It's also high risk that Ben Simmons' value would continue to decline. I mean, he's on a 30% max contract. That is a big contract And so if he continues to not live up to that at the start of the season, and it looks like his free throw shooting is still bad, and he hasn't improved that at all, or his jumper at all, he supposedly he's going to do all this individual work during the offseason. But if that turns out to be insignificant, but Daryl, I think he's willing to take that risk when that is the piece that maybe puts you in from a salary matching standpoint, if not also just a guy who's under contract and has a lot of talent for Lillard or Beal. And so I don't think that Simmons gets done until those situations resolve one way or another.
Yeah, I'm probably in the minority here, but I don't even think it's that worrisome if Simmons comes back to Philly in the training camp. I think there's a lot of people are out there saying, got to trade him before the training camp, got to trade him before the season, all of that stuff, got to get him out. That's ideal, but I don't think it works in our time necessarily. NBA GMs don't work on our timelines. It would be really helpful if they did, if they gave us a call and asked us when it can go down, but not going to happen anytime soon. The concept to me is just, this is the big trade for them. You touched on it, but with Embiid's timeline and his health history, you only know you probably got a 3-4 year window, assuming he could stay healthy, and you got to go big. And I just don't think CJ doesn't do it for me, right? When I look at it with CJ, it doesn't, it's okay, that's a nice piece, but, he's on a big contract, and it's I'd almost rather Seth Curry on the contract he has.
I was going to ask, how much better is as a kind of a second or third guy, how much better is CJ McCollum than Seth Curry? And is it enough different yes, he's a better on-ball creator, but is it enough better to be worth it's the 20-something million difference in what they're paid and what you can do with that.
And then on top of that, though, if Ben Simmons doesn't get better at all, let's just say comes back, still a potential defensive player of the year guy, can guard, I believe, 1 through 5. That's hard to come by. And if you're a team that's been terrible on defense, Sacramento, Portland, all of those teams need a guy like that. He still has great passing vision. He's still going to create a ton of threes. And we've never seen him on his own, without Embiid. You give him an opportunity to just create, go be Giannis-like. He's not Giannis. Everybody relax. I don't need anybody coming at me. Just, but Giannis-like or something like that. Or in a different version, a different world where he gets to play on his own. He can go off. I think about that game against Utah when Embiid was out and he dropped 42, and it was unbelievable that game at both ends. And Sixers had no business being in that game. They lost, but they had no business being in that game. It just shows you, I think GMs and teams are probably thinking a little more of what can he be on our team more than what we've seen. And I think even if he doesn't get better, it's still a hell of a piece.
Yeah, to me, I think you and I disagree a little bit on Simmons being this transformative defensive player. And I agree with you that he can guard 1 through 5 one-on-one, but I don't think he is the level of help defender that you need if he's playing the 5 to actually, if he could be Draymond Green defensively and give you what he gives offensively, that to me is a different kind of player defensively that you can really build your system around. Whereas, I still think he wasn't the best defensive player on his own team last year. I think that was Joel Embiid. And I think there's only so much of an effect that, and just look what Trae Young did to them in the playoffs, right? There's only so much that in today's day and age when you can screen, or you can particularly even just screen with a small, and teams are going to just switch that one ostensibly lockdown perimeter defender can do. And so you need a guy who also is a great off-ball defender, and Simmons is only good to me in that area.
Are we thinking of Simmons incorrectly as a defender? We're kind of putting him in that Anthony Davis, Giannis mold of the very mobile but elite interior defender. When isn't he more of a supercharged Robert Covington in that role? A Robert Covington who's also very good on the ball.
You're talking about Simmons?
Simmons, yeah.
I don't think he's as good of a help defender as Robert Covington.
All right.
I don't think he blocks shots. I don't think he has the same type of instincts or the same length, actually, even necessarily either. I think he's way better, obviously, as an on-ball perimeter defender.
But isn't that more the category we should be talking about him rather than kind of these guys who are fours who are effective being in the kind of the interior center defender role as a help defender? And I don't know if that, I imagine that changes what you think the ceiling of that is. But
Well, I think that there are really very few fours that I look at as like a real value added. There's Giannis, there's Draymond, and those guys are kind of fives. So, and there's Covington. I mean, who else is a guy who's going to come over as like a secondary help defender and really cause problems for you at the rim?
it's not as big a list as it used to be. I mean, that used to be the Serge Ibaka role.
Right.
Yeah, we talked like Blake Griffin. Even he was always criticized for not being a rim protector, and then you go down the list of fours. Even at that time, and you're like, like Zach Randolph, a great rim protector. Like there were big guys, but they were kind of more burly. They weren't like big. Not all of them were like a Rasheed Wallace type necessarily, but
It's just the evolving of the game, right? Like we're thinking these guys are got to be this when they're not. But the one thing you touched on that this drives me nuts, and I think Seth knows what I'm going to touch on, is when you have a guy like Simmons, teams need to stop switching. You need to start fighting through screens. You need to start with the NBA has gotten so switch happy to the point now where it's like you got guys that can defend one-on-one at that level, and it's not just Simmons. You have a guy like Thibault. Again, another Sixer. But, when you have great one-on-one guys, teams, coaches, they got to start getting off this switch thing. The switching in general in the NBA has become a pandemic of its own.
Wow. No, I agree with you. And this is so when you're talking about like the Bucks playoff defense, I think the switching was part of it, but there's sort of base defense, which involved, Lopez in that center field drop. Center field, sorry, Mo, and with Holiday fighting over the top of the screen, so they're not having to switch. I think that's yes, you can't do either exclusively, but being able to have guys who fight over screens, like so much playoff offense is just like, hey, we're going to run some action and two guys are going to run into each other. And then we've got our best player being guarded by Tyler Hero. Let's go. And I think that I think we can do better about, making teams work a little bit more. I think we saw in the first game of the finals, what it looks like when you give up switches super easily. And if you recall, that was Chris Paul just dribbling down the floor is like, okay, we're going to run this and I'm going to have Brook Lopez on me with 19 on the shot clock, and you're dead. And so I agree with you, Mo, that a little bit more fighting through is just at times switching is something to have in the bag.
But even when you it's also like your personnel, right? Like, listen, the Golden State Warriors and their run had 5 or 4 unbelievable defenders, right? It's switching makes sense when you go from Klay Thompson to Andre Iguodala. It's like, that's great. When you're doing it now where it's like, okay, we're going from Giannis to Bryn Forbes, problem. Like that just doesn't compute. And it's literally Giannis just gets hit by a screen. Okay, good luck. Good luck, Bryn. And I think when you have a guy at the level of Simmons, and we're going to disagree on his defense. I'm a little higher on that. You don't switch. Like, I think you just have to get to that, like, hey, fight through the top, go under, whatever. But like, the last thing you do is switching unless you're absolutely screwed. And I think that's kind of the thing when I look at it with Simmons for a team trading for him. If they trade for him and then they're just going to stay in a switch defense, you guys just gave away the farm for nothing. Yeah,
like if somehow the CJ for Simmons trade happens and they run like, Dame's guy runs into and they switch, like why even bother having Simmons on the team if you're going to just, go at Dame again?
It also just depends who the role man is too, right? If it's Duncan Robinson on a pick and pop, you might want to switch that because otherwise he's going to be open,
right?
If it's Dorian Finney-Smith setting the screen, okay, we'll let you try to make a 4-on-3 play downhill and prove you can beat us that way before we're going to switch that.
That's right.
Yeah. And as everything, it's always personnel based who you're up against and things like that.
I was taking a look at my clothes, and really it was just my wife taking a look at my clothes right before I came to Las Vegas for NBA Summer League, and she was like, you need an upgrade in your wardrobe. And I didn't know that I did until I checked out Indochino, and I tried on some of their clothes, and I was like, oh, I absolutely need an upgrade because I feel so much better about myself now that I have some great clothing from Indochino. The right outfit can just bring out something special in all of us. And with Indochino, creating your best look can be more affordable than you think. I shopped online. I was able to personalize everything, which was really a cool process. I've never really gotten to choose the kind of buttons or the way that the pockets are cut on my pants before, which was really kind of nice. And Indochino offers a completely custom-fitted suits, shirts, casual wear, and more at surprisingly affordable prices. And the best part, Indochino suits start at just $399 with all customizations included. Indochino is now open at select Nordstrom stores, giving you even more ways to get great fitting personalized clothing. Find your nearest location at Indochino.com. Right now, you can get $50 off any purchase of $399 or more by using the promo code NBA Show. That's $50 off a purchase of $399 or more at INDOCHINO.com with the promo code NBA Show. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. Element is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and perfectly suited to folks following the keto, low carb, or paleo diet. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio with no junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. When you sweat, the primary electrolyte lost is sodium. Athletes can lose up to 7 grams per day. When sodium isn't replaced, it's common to experience muscle cramps and fatigue. Everyone needs electrolytes, especially those on low-carb diets, practice intermittent fasting or extended fasting, are physically active, or maybe you just sweat a lot. Sugar, artificial ingredients, coloring, etc. are all unhealthy and unneeded, and there is none of it, not even a drop of it, in Element. Dozens of professional teams and players are on monthly Element subscriptions, typically recommended by the head of sports performance and nutrition. Try it totally risk-free, and if you don't like it, share it with a salty friend, and we'll give you your money back. No questions asked. We have a very low return rate and high reorder rate. Drink Element is a healthy alternative to sugary electrolyte drinks. Each grab-and-go stick pack replaces essential electrolytes with no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, and no other junk. I drink Element every day because I love to exercise and I need to replenish so that I can feel better. As a member of our community, Element has a very special offer for you. Claim your free Element sample pack. You only cover the cost of shipping and get yours here at drinkelement.com/NBA show. That's DRINKLMNT.com/NBA show.
But let's pivot here a little bit because we're actually at Las Vegas, literally in the Thomas and Mack Pavilion Concourse. I don't know the words, but we're here in
Concourse.
Concourse. Thank you. This is why we have you, Nate. Smart guy, not smart. On the concourse here. So let's talk about Summer League. I want to start off right away, and I'm going to look at the camera. It's Summer League. Like, what you see here is not necessarily like a guy drops 30 here doesn't mean he's going to be a star in the regular season.
Anthony Randolph isn't going to the Hall of Fame?
No, he is.
Okay.
The Summer League Hall of Fame.
Well, and not only that, we're recording this after one game that all of these teams have played in Summer League as well.
And yes, and I want you to define each of these guys' career from this off that one game. No, I just think we get lost in people get lost in the conversation of Summer League's weird too. You have a weird construction on the roster sometimes. You have guys who, if you're a big man, you might not see the ball just because you got a bunch of guards that are trying to make a team or whatnot, and a whole different setup of vibing in that. So everybody needs to take the conversation in context. And as Nate said, we literally have only seen these guys once at this point, it being Tuesday. But your early impressions, who's kind of impressed you?
Well, maybe we should just talk about people who there's something about them that surprised us that we didn't realize. That's just watching guys. I mean, you can draw a few conclusions on guys physically, or maybe a shot looks better or something like that.
Well, then take it away.
I thought I just watched the Hawks' classic victory over the Pacers, and Jalen Johnson just looks real big out there. He played a lot of center for them. He was running the floor pretty hard. He got a tip on an offensive rebound that got him the game-winning shot from Sharif Cooper in the corner, who made 5 threes, which was supposed to be his his weakness. Sharif Cooper hitting 5 threes, that's the thing you don't want to overreact to, but just seeing someone play hard who's maybe more athletic than you thought, like Jalen Johnson, where you're just like, oh, this guy is a real NBA difference maker type athlete. And I wouldn't say that I didn't see that before. I didn't watch a lot of film on him, but seeing it in person, particularly in that small arena when you're up close, you could really feel like the force that he brings to the game.
Right, for sure. Seth,
No, I don't think, and I think Nate brings up a good point. We didn't really talk about Atlanta, but Atlanta, I mean, without really doing much, Atlanta had a nice offseason. I mean, their big move was re-signing John Collins, and I don't know what you thought about that deal, but I think in terms of where they picked them, I thought they did pretty well in the draft too, getting Johnson and Sharif Cooper, who was I kind of feel like he was a guy who was underdrafted just in terms of, okay, he's small and has defensive questions and shooting questions, but the upside as an offensive driver is so significant that I'm surprised that nobody took a chance on him earlier than mid-late second round.
Yeah, although Cooper, I would say, he was someone who looked, and guys can figure it out obviously at a new level of athleticism, but I thought he kind of got swallowed up a little bit by some of the athletic. Like he hit 5 threes, but he didn't do all that much else in the half court other than that in that game. So that's kind of an example again of just seeing. That doesn't mean that he can't turn that around or figure things out necessarily either. But and getting Deion Wright is probably an upgrade on that Chris Dunn spot that they had last year, and they just have a really deep team, very well built for the regular season. They probably won't have as many injuries this year as they did last year. I don't see them necessarily making it to the conference finals, but yeah, they did everything that you could hope to. That Collins deal is, I don't know whether it's a good deal or a bad deal, but it's less worse than it could have been from a team standpoint. Yeah.
I agree with you that what I take most from summer league, especially for the first year guys, is that physicality. The team I thought that both of the rookie guards that the Knicks drafted, I like skill level hard to tell, but just in terms of their physicality was Quentin Grimes looked like in a good way big, and for a guy coming in to play like that wing spot, you can never really tell in college, and then you get him on the court against the pro level players. It's like, okay, no, that's NBA, that's an NBA 2-guard size right there. That's good size for a 2-guard, and
that happens to me a ton here at Summer League. Is like when I go see a guy like Scotty Barnes, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Scotty Barnes, a lot bigger than I thought, and it's along those lines of when you get to look at them in person and then see their movements and how do they move. It may not necessarily flow on television as easily as you can see it up close in person. And what's their, are their movements more mechanical or is it fluid? Is it kind of flowing or things like that? And I think, for me with Scotty Barnes, like the first quarter, I was like, wow, this dude's like pretty mechanical in his movements. But it looked like as he got comfortable in that game, he started to flow better and move a little easier. I think it's also for some of these guys a little bit nerve-wracking the first game or two, just trying to get the feet under them. But who else has kind of impressed you guys or disappointed you? I mean, in the sense of, we shouldn't phrase it that way. That's my fault as a host. But just what have you? Give me an observation you've seen of a guy that you were excited to look for.
I didn't think he has the highest ceiling as a player, but like Davion Mitchell looks,
as ball hawk.
He's 23 years old. He's one of the oldest guys ever drafted in the top 10. I think, and there's some Wes Johnsons and Rafael Arujos on those lists, which is not amazing. But, and you expect him, all right, he's supposed to be ready to play right now, being, I think, 23. And, that's part of why you drafted him there. But he's done so far, including in the California Summer League, everything he's handled everything that's been put in front of him the way you would want for a guy drafted in his position at his age.
Yeah, and I think the at least again, it's a game or two for most of these guys, so you don't want to like write obituaries or anything like that. But the contrast is Chris Duarte, who again, much older player, drafted, ready to step in right away. I don't want to say was anonymous, but what didn't stand out as the guy.
He looked better actually in this game that they just played. Yeah, but and I didn't see the first one.
Yeah,
but.
No, and in the first game he was kind of standing in the corner a fair amount. So
it's the adjustment level, right? It's kind of like figuring that flow and in that moving. And this isn't even a normal NBA game in the sense of like, it's 10 minutes and it's
in very basic playbook.
Yeah, it's you've been together for 3 practices and then you went, and things like that. I want to get back to Davion Mitchell and Sacramento just because I loved him. I just didn't love the pick for Sacramento, in that, now you're going to run 3 guards. Like, I don't like that kind of setup that they're doing. But he just defensively, when I watched him against Book Night, like it was very intense for even just like summer league. I was like, damn, dude, like save it a little bit.
It's almost like someone took it personally.
Yeah, it felt slighted. Give me one more guy that you guys each that you liked or you're excited to see and you need to see more from, just because we've saw one game of these guys and it may not be enough to fully bounce. But who's somebody you're looking forward to seeing?
I'm looking forward to seeing Jalen Suggs. I think he's a player who I was lower on than most, and so I just really I'm anxious to see if kind of what the people who saw things in him saw is here, or if basically how quickly am I going to have to take an L on that if I'm going to have to take that L.
I can't wait till you take an L just so I can bring it all over you on Nerder.
I think Jalen Suggs has been a very nice player for a long time. The superstar upside from like a skill level standpoint, that's maybe what I didn't.
Yeah, that was my concern. I guess was obviously like where everyone wants to see Cade.
Right.
I haven't had a chance to see him yet, but just to see whether the size and skill level and if his kind of almost slow motion game, how it translates in this environment might tell us something, or it might not, because summer league can be very frenetic.
I do think he's someone who the first game he was like 5 of 16, was not getting great separation. Like his jumper looks very good. He hit a couple of off ball threes. Wasn't able to get much in terms of like physical finishes in the paint. I was very impressed by how hard he plays. One of the harder playing number 1 pick, stud prospects that you're going to see like defensively. So that looked pretty good. But I do think he's someone who is going to they're going to need to put him in position to succeed offensively more than just, all right, set it up, run high pick and roll. He might need to get a mismatch against a smaller player and get into the post where he's very good from a triple threat position with a live dribble, or get him the matchup that he needs, or also someone who could catch a pass and finish. He had a bunch of potential assists that guys like fumbled out of bounds and stuff like that.
Well, that's nothing new for him after his Oklahoma State.
Oh man, I just woke up and I tell you, I'm feeling great. I'm ready to embrace the day because I slept on a Helix mattress, the Helix Midnight Lux, in fact. And I used to sleep on a mattress that I thought was good because it was expensive, and just thought maybe my body is failing me. My back is hurting every morning just because I'm getting older. Nope. It was the mattress. It was the mattress all along. And now I have remedied that with Helix. Helix Sleep has a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Why would you buy a mattress made for someone else? With Helix, you're getting a mattress that you know will be perfect for the way that you sleep. Everybody's unique, and Helix knows that, so they have several different mattress models to choose from. They have soft, medium, firm mattresses great for cooling you down if you sleep hot, and even a Helix Plus mattress for plus-size sleepers. I took the Helix quiz, and I was matched with the Helix Midnight Lux mattress like I told you before, because I wanted something that was, pretty soft, but something that helped me because I like to sleep on my side. So if you're looking for a mattress, you take the quiz, you order the mattress that you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't even have to go to the mattress store ever again. Helix is awesome, but you don't need to take my word for it. Helix was awarded the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ and Wired magazine. Just go to helixsleep.com/NBA show and take the 2-minute quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. And you can try it risk-free for 100 nights, and they'll even pick it up from you if you don't love it, but you obviously will. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/NBA show. That's helixsleep.com/NBA show for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows.
With U.S. sport now in its oh-so-brief hiatus, it's time to turn our attention to the world of golf. This month, we've teamed up with the RNA to offer you the chance to grab a once-in-a-lifetime experience to be at one of golf's most imperious events and locations in 2022. Off the back of Colin Morikawa's fantastic win at the 149th Open at Royal St. George's in England, we are giving our listeners a chance to be at St. Andrews, Scotland for the 150th Open next summer. Along with Colin, who will be defending his crown, you will see the likes of Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, and lefty Phil Mickelson battle it out to see who will be the champion golfer of 2022. And you and your friends and family can be there by entering the ballot today at theopen.com/theathletic. The Open is one of the most prestigious events in sport, and this 150th Open at St. Andrews in 2022 will be even more so. So for your chance to be there, head to theopen.com/theathletic and enter the ballot for the 150th Open at St. Andrews in 2022 today. That's theopen.com/theathletic.
Well,
Yeah.
What were your guys' thoughts on Evan Mobley? Just in the one game I saw him, he didn't like score a bunch or anything like that. I didn't feel like the numbers were great, but he looked a little more comfortable in the sense of was getting good post position. Just felt like he left shots short and things like that. But I felt like for as skinny as he is, his physicality was pretty good. He had a good offensive rebound into a dunk and things like that. But in general, I saw, and it wasn't a great game from him, but I was still encouraged going like, I liked what I saw so far, but I want to get your guys' view if you've seen him.
Yeah, I did watch that game. I think when he's under the rim, he gets on top of the basket very quickly. I think he gets off the ground fast, even if he's not getting like that high necessarily. I think that he needs to be a 5 to maximize his potential. Like there isn't anything special that he can do at the 4, particularly early in his career. He's going to struggle to score. He was being guarded by like Kenyon Martin Jr. Right. And so that he wasn't really able to get much traction against him. Like he's not going to be able to beat that guy off the dribble facing up. I also think he needs to develop a little bit more of like just shooting over guys, turnaround shots where he's skinny and he tries to back down, but he like can't really do that.
I mean, he's
very well. Yeah. But I think, and then the thing that I liked the most about him was his passing on the college tape. And if he's playing the 4, you don't really get much of that, right? Can't run much like the DHO game, like can't really find guys backdoor. Like the way that opens up is because, he can shoot it out there. You've got to guard him with your 5. And then there's all these cuts open going backdoor, and those delay actions, he can reverse the ball and then roll to the basket. So if he's a 4, he played next to Fernando Kamengele and, they signed Jared Allen. If he's playing a lot of the 4, I don't see how, and then his rim protection is muted as well. So it's just really hard for him to have a huge impact with the variety of skills that he has when at the 4, there are a lot of guys who have that type of skill level. At the 5, that's when it becomes unique.
I feel like that you almost gave like the several years ago scouting report on John Collins. I mean, it's slightly different physicality,
but he's got way more rim protection though than John Collins, right? Like, and John, I'll give him credit. I think he's really improved as a perimeter defender and shooter as well. Like, I don't think that Mobley's gonna be the level of shooter that Collins is, but yeah, I mean, like that's what's exciting about him is that he actually can protect the rim at that level if he gets strong enough.
What did you think about his lateral movement? That's one of those, especially both as a 4, but even as a 5. Is he going to be able to like slide with guys and get out, or is he someone who's going to have to play back a little, or can he, or is he switchable?
Yeah, that was kind of the thought that he would be switched. He's kind of more of like a back off of you and contain type of guy. We didn't see too much of that I can remember in the first game that really stuck out to me though.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it today. We got games to go watch because, we've only watched just a little bit of these guys, and we want to make sure we have a proper assessment somewhat.
And I got to go find that fashion show.
Oh, I mean, I was going to end with the cargo shorts joke, and you just kind of killed it. But we're gonna end with Nate fashioning cargo shorts. Nate, Duncan, everybody, go check out the Dunked On podcast and the Hollinger and Duncan show. Make sure you read Seth's tiers as they're dropping on The Athletic. Everybody, thanks for checking out The Athletic NBA show.
Sign up today with BetMGM, the exclusive betting partner of The Athletic, and you're going to get a $1,000 risk-free first bet, plus get a free 3-month subscription to The Athletic. You can't beat that. Just sign up at betmgm.com/TANBA show to take advantage of this special offer from the king of sportsbooks. That's betmgm.com/TANBA show. New customer offer, paid in bonus dollars. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions.
Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, or West Virginia only. Excludes Michigan disassociated persons. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, Nevada, and Virginia. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help in Michigan. 1-800-GAMBLER in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. And 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. In Tennessee, call or text the red line at 800-889-9789. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. Promotional offer not available in Nevada.